This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Joy and pride at Eliud Kipchoge's home as he makes marathon history in Vienna. Turkey intensifies its air and artillery strikes in northeast Syria to drive out Kurdish forces as Arab League condemns offensive. And Chinese president goes to Nepal after two-day trip in India. Hello and welcome to CGTN. This is Africa Live and I'm Karen Roberts in Nairobi. Also coming up in the programme. Fears of funding decline after Uganda makes huge progress in the fight against malaria. And Kenya's Betsy Saina raring to go for the women's marathon title in Chicago on Sunday. Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge has broken the 2-hour marathon barrier in Vienna. Kipchoge, who has been preparing for the Ineos 1.59 challenge for months, finished in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 40 seconds, supported by alternating pace setters over the 42 kilometres. The current marathon world record holder had failed to break the 2-hour barrier in May 2017, with the Nike Breaking 2 project managing to finish in just 2 hours 26 seconds. The time, however, will not be recognised as the official marathon world record because it was not in open competition and he used a team of rotating pacemakers. Kipchoge has expressed his joy, saying that no human is limited.
From the first kilometers, I was really comfortable. I've been training for it for the last 4.5 months, and above all, I actually I've been putting in my heart and my mind that I want to run under 2 hours in marathon to make history and pass a positive thought and a message to the whole world that no human is limited. You know, pressure was actually very big in my shoulders. In fact, yesterday I had a lot of pressure, although I received a lot of phone calls from the President of Kenya, Deputy is here. I received a lot of calls from all over the world and all the messages with encouragement. And you know, when you receive a lot of calls from high-profile people, it's on the other hand, it's a pressure.
Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge brought to life the sleepy village of Kapsisiwa in Nandi County and Eldoret Town on Saturday after becoming the first man to run a marathon in under 2 hours. Residents headed to Kapsisiwa Primary School in their droves where they could get to watch as the world and Olympic record holder raced against the clock. The 34-year-old Kenyan attended this primary school alongside the captain of his pace setters, Bernard Lagat. But on Saturday, the school was filled by the young and the old as they watched one of their own make history. In Eldoret Town, businesses were shut and roads closed as thousands showed up in the town centre for the viewing. Cheers became louder and louder for every single kilometre the marathon world record holder ran. And as he crossed the finish line, there was a thunderous roar for the man that Eldoret residents refer to as V8.
I just want to say that I'm very happy and I'm very excited for him. I really appreciate him. And I know God is with him. He will have strength. And I think everything will be just okay with him. And it's really, I think I have nothing more to say about, but I'm really excited. I'm very happy.
May God help Kipchoge so that he can be able to break the record yet again in a marathon like Berlin in under 2 hours.
Well, other marathon lovers across the East African region were also glued to their screens as Kipchoge was making history. Here are some of the reactions gathered from different countries.
They've put so much, they've been training for so long for this and so much energy has gone into it, and You have the whole world watching, and so yeah, very exciting and very nerve-wracking to see him do it. It's awesome.
I mean, I had a sense that he was capable of doing it, coming from Monza and so forth. So I felt like this time he was ready sufficiently, yeah.
From now onwards, anything is possible. Anything is possible. He could probably do it in less time if he's challenged.
Like Kenyan, I just feel the challenge is done. He has made the pace, so for the rest, let them follow suit on that. But the challenge is on. 159, it's on.
I think he's done East Africa proud. I was really excited to see him run and break this record, which seemed like it was never going to happen. And he looked like he could do another 50 kilometers, and so he was quite amazing. He looked very strong, he looked very firm and very fit. I think he really worked hard for this and he deserved it. Congratulations.
I can't believe that I'm part of this history. I woke up very early, coming here to support my fellow Kenyan all the way in Addis. It makes a lot of sense, and for the future generation, for our kids, it's something that everybody will look up to. It's really nice. I feel so good, and I feel very proud to be Kenyan.
To other news now. The League of Arab States has called on Turkey to immediately halt its military operations in Syria. In a firm statement, the Pan-Arab organization warned that this move would fuel violence and instability in the region. Arab nations have also called on the international community to stand against what it described as an invasion of Syrian territories. Here's Adel El-Mahrouki with more.
So Turkey and the Kurds have been fighting for hundreds of years. And if Turkey does something that they shouldn't be doing, we will put on sanctions the likes of which very few countries have ever seen before. And, we have been out of there. We beat ISIS. We knocked the hell out of them. We took 100% of the caliphate. We did our job.
Arab foreign ministers rushed to Cairo for an emergency meeting to discuss what they describe as Turkish aggression against Syria. Egypt has called for the meeting, hoping to rally a unified Arab stance against Turkey.
Our emergency meeting must name things as they are. The military operation that Turkey is conducting in northeast Syria doesn't have except one name, but invasion and aggression. It's an invasion to an Arab nation's soil and an aggression against its sovereignty. It's a condemned invasion, and the world cannot approve it.
In a joint statement, the Arab League says the Turkish move is a threat to regional stability. Member states accuse Turkey of abusing Syria's political instability for territorial gains.
For the sake of Syria and its people, for the sake of our Arab national security, for the sake of our Arabian national security, and for the sake of world peace and security, we must end the Syrian political conflict. And the role we Arabs must have in that should be fair and bigger than what it is today.
Turkey's aggression is trying to conceal behind the notion of counterterrorism that is both sarcastic and astonishing. These claims mislead the undoubtful evidence about the Turkish support to terrorist organizations in the region and its hosting to entities whose involvement in terrorism has been proven.
Member states stressed that they must support Syrian factions to reach political solution immediately, so no nation would abuse its instability.
The main purpose of the meeting is to defend Syria. Yet Arab foreign ministers have gathered in its absence. Since 2012, its membership in the Arab League has been frozen, which made several countries call to reinstate Syria to the Arab League so it can join them in drafting a plan to defend itself. Adel El-Mahrouki, CGTN, Cairo.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with his Nepalese counterpart Bidyade Badhanri in Kathmandu. The two leaders agreed to build a strategic partnership which they said would benefit generations of people from both countries. Xi is scheduled to attend a banquet hosted by Bandari. He'll also meet with Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli on Sunday before returning to China the same day. The Himalayan nation has been a partner in China's Belt and Road Initiative since 2017. The two countries are looking to boost their ties through ongoing infrastructure projects in Nepal. Well, ahead of Xi's arrival in Nepal, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli told the China media group that he was looking forward to the visit and hoped that the two countries can deepen cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative.
President and Secretary General Xi Jinping, who drive China with new momentum, with new vision, and with new idea through BRI and other bilateral projects, we can get benefit.
We are going to a short break. Don't go away. Lots more to come, including fears of funding decline after Uganda makes huge progress in the fight against malaria. And scientists in South Africa create decoy penguins to encourage reproduction among the endangered species.
The newly upgraded CGTN website offers optimized coverage of China and international affairs, as well as distinct voices from around the globe. Be the first to know the biggest political news and discover the background to the major decisions. Decode China with a different perspective and get a better understanding of how China sees the world. Go beyond the news with sharp opinions on the events shaping today's world and reveal a China you have never seen before. Listen to entrepreneurs for in-depth analysis of the economy and touch the pulse of new technology via our hands-on videos. Travel back in time with CGTN to learn about China's past and immerse yourself in Chinese culture to discover the stories behind Kung Fu. Get the latest news on Chinese lifestyle, including travel, sports, and nature. Regular productions including Ask China put high-ranking officials on the spot, while C-Lab presents new ways of storytelling via cutting-edge technologies, and Global Stringer delivers unique videos from China and beyond. Take a look at the world from a different angle. See the difference.
Africa Live. Find your voice.
More than $14 billion have been raised at the Global Fund Conference in France, with Uganda pledging $1.5 million. The money will be used in the fight against malaria, tuberculosis and AIDS. But there are concerns that as improvements are made, funding could decline. Here's Leosin Esenyange with more.
Another hospital visit. Francis Tomsange nurses his 1.5-year-old daughter who is suffering from malaria.
She has been ill for a while, but we have been receiving treatment here.
Tomsange's daughter is one of many Ugandan children that have benefited from treatment provided by the Global Fund. The country is running several malaria prevention initiatives like use of mosquito nets, early malaria testing and treatment. Uganda's health ministry says the Global Fund has supported 60% of the malaria prevention initiatives. The government has also spent almost $1.5 million on health measures to treat and prevent the spread of AIDS and tuberculosis, and has seen a reduction in the number of cases. Uganda's malaria control program says prevalence in children under 5 years has decreased from 42% in 2009 to about 10%.
We have effectively invested the Global Fund resources for good results. For HIV, for example, we are nearing epidemic control. We have achieved the 90-90-90, and the government is now moving towards 95-95-95. TB is working seriously to identify cases and contain the epidemic.
In France, French President Emmanuel Macron has led the campaign along with other world leaders to secure funding. About $14 billion has been pledged in the fight against malaria, AIDS and tuberculosis over the next 3 years. But some in Uganda are concerned that improvements the country has seen in prevention could lead to a funding cut, and that funding, health workers say, is essential to ensuring the number of cases continues to fall.
What we are looking forward to is people actually putting this money and it being allocated to countries, very effective programs developed, because Global Fund is as a funding mechanism, and the effectiveness depends on well-designed programs which drive impact and which build sustainable systems.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation announced an additional $1 billion to be invested in malaria to reduce the burden of the disease. And with more money, Tom Sange and many others will continue to access better services. Leon Sanyanga, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
Nigeria may be one of Africa's fastest growing nations, but its social development often struggles to keep pace. At a poetry workshop in the capital, Abuja, young women from conflict-affected areas had the opportunity to express themselves in a different way. CG10's Daniela Pearson reports.
Conflict, how all these things affect.
The British poet Teresa Lola has been hosting a poetry workshop back in the country where she was born.
How different we're all thinking, and how...
Here in Nigeria, girls still face gender discrimination and violence. But the award-winning poet is offering her art form as a tool of expression to empower young women.
Of hiding in a hive. Someone who was brought up in Nigeria, I thought it was really important to shed a light on what is going on and the issues that are affecting young women, particularly conflict, gender inequality, poverty.
Why they are sitting like this?
A dozen teenage girls were chosen to participate in the poetry workshop.
You're a human walking upright.
They're all from Nigeria's conflict-affected regions in the north and northeast. Those who wish to shared their poems.
So stand up and make a change.
The workshops definitely exceeded my expectations. Their poems were incredible, and they had a little showcase at the end, and you can just see the progress that they've made with their poems, but also with, amplifying their voices to the rest of the young girls.
They discussed societal limitations that girls in Nigeria experience. Early marriage and protection issues came up as the key barriers to education, and that these problems were exacerbated by a lack of women in positions of power.
I want a country, a nation where girls' voice will be heard, where girls will be able to reach their full potential, achieve their dreams and goals in life, be a voice to other voiceless children, both boys and girls.
Female leaders are really needed because we female, we are going to be protected, we are going to be given the right to voice out what is wrong with us, and we are going to feel safe and free in the society.
You feel like a flower to be treated so harshly.
Nigeria's northern states have the highest rates of child marriage in the world. More than half of all girls are not in school. But here, the girls had a chance to voice these issues through metaphor, simile, and personification. Daniela Pearson, CGTN.
Take me back to who I am.
Scientists in South Africa have come up with a quirky solution to protect the country's endangered penguins. It's a seductive decoy to encourage penguins to reproduce in a safer environment. CGTN's Daniela Pearson reports.
It's not a real penguin, but scientists in South Africa are hoping the local penguins won't be able to tell the difference. And combined with bird soundtracks and fancy accommodation, the aim is to entice the penguins to a safer location and hopefully form a new colony.
We did test the decoys with real penguins, so we went to an existing colony and put the decoys out just so we could see how penguins would react. We wouldn't want them to totally ignore the decoys or be aggressive towards them. So we took them to a place called Stony Point, which is an existing colony, and we put them out there for a little bit, and the penguins were actually really intrigued and interested in them. So that was a really good result.
Penguin is the continent's only indigenous penguin species, but a combination of climate change and heavy fishing pressure means that the species has gone from vulnerable to endangered.
The African penguin population has decreased by about 99% since the 1900s, and that's mostly been because of human activities. In the past, it was because of egg collecting and guano scraping, but more recently, it is due to a lack of food. We all need to make an effort to try and combat the effects of climate change and to reduce carbon emissions, because that's the ultimate threat to the penguins and ultimately to all biodiversity.
Meanwhile, the decoy penguins, affectionately named Penguineth Paltrow and Mr. Waddlesworth, will continue to woo South Africa's penguins. Daniela Pearson, CGTN.
We've got all the sports news coming up for you after the break, including Kenya's Betsy Saino raring to fight for the women's marathon title in Chicago on Sunday.
The greatest journeys, the greatest sights, the greatest adventures.
Here in Panata, this weir allows the locals to walk on water.
We're far more than just TV news. We're your passport to the wonders of Africa.
To bring you stories of struggle, survival and hope.
So let's explore. CGTN. See the difference.